Hey everybody, this is Tony UV, CEO at Versprite, another exciting little podcast from the Dirty South Security Podcast. Doing good. It's Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm here with guest invite, Yovany Jerez. Yovany, how you doing?
Good to be here, Tony. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well.
And I'm also here with trusted sidekick, Evin Hernandez, hailing from New York. How you doing today, Evin?
I'm great. Hi, everybody. How you doing, Tony?
Doing good, doing good. It's Hispanic Heritage Month. Talked about this last time in the last little outtake that we had, Evin, and I wanted to invite Mr. Compay Yovany out on the West Coast. How's the weather out there in, where are you, Southern California?
Yeah, well, Los Angeles is very reliable when it comes to weather. So Southern California, 95% of the time is just beautiful, gorgeous, enjoyable weather. I mean, this is why things are expensive. This is the weather tax. That's what we call it. But yeah, it's just great, man. So wish you could be here as well.
Well, officially, you just made two Latinos celoso on the East Coast, and that's Evin and myself. But we're wanting to continue the dialogue on Hispanic Heritage Month and talk about what does this mean to us American professionals, Hispanic American professionals. I had a chance to talk a little bit with Evin about this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you first, and then dive into what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean for you, Yovany?
Yeah, for me, it's always a good period. Hispanic Heritage Month is always a great period to highlight, right? Our key professionals, our key superstars in various industries. I've had the opportunity to be in a place that celebrates our heritage very intentionally. So we highlight not only the employees that are of Hispanic descent, but we also host like High Tech Day, where we invite Latinos from high school and from middle school to come in and learn about tech and STEM and those opportunities that exist there. It's always a good opportunity to refresh history, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're bound to repeat history if we don't remember who our heroes are, who our heroinas, our Latinas are as well, and what they've done for us. Because at the end of the day, all of us stand on the shoulders and the roots of previous generations, right? And it's very important that
who do you think is like your number one go-to iconic Hispano that you look up to for business, for whatever, right? But first, let me ask Evin. You hail from Brooklyn, right, Evin?
Yes, I do.
So not too many Hispanics in Brooklyn. Just kidding. So, and when you were growing up, was there a lot of stuff, or even now, did you see a lot of things where there's a lot of like technology now being appreciated by young entrepreneurs or young technologists that are Hispanic in background?
For me, I would still say no.
Okay.
In terms of access to technology.
Right.
When you look at some of the areas in Brooklyn and looking through the past, technology is still disparate across school systems in terms of funding, how they get funded, what areas they're in. I think you're kind of forced into using technology just because of the digital age that we're in. Everybody has some access, but I think it's still up and coming.
Yep, no, absolutely. Yovany, would you again going back to that, idol, or I wouldn't say idol, but there's someone that you looked up to, in any type of profession, who stands out in your mind as a Hispanic American or Hispanic that was really kind of a good leader?
There's too many, but I would certainly, the one that comes to mind, the first one comes to mind is Ralph de la Vega. Ralph de la Vega was the CEO of AT&T many years, typical American dream story, escapes Cuba, comes in without a dime, enters AT&T, rises up the ranks, ends up being the CEO of Singular, then they buy AT&T, then he becomes the CEO of AT&T. And what I love about Ralph is that despite his amazing professional journey and success, he continues to lift others as he climbs. Like, he continues to mentor young professionals, middle professionals, high school students. And now that he's retired, I know that he's doing spends a lot of time giving young entrepreneurs an opportunity to just be exposed and have the right mentorship in order to be successful.
Right. I think one question that pops out, and I'm going to kind of throw this out your way, Evin, is when you think about like, okay, you're in security, you're in cybersecurity, you're in technology, as it relates to culture, if we think about leaders like, what Yovany just described with Ralph from, AT&T, is what is some of the important takeaways that we as Hispanics should have in doing technology management, in doing software development, and doing, any sort of entrepreneurial endeavor, cybersecurity? What do you think are some good things that we can port from the Hispanic culture?
Our willingness to work. We have
Absolutely, yeah.
From a cultural perspective, I was born and raised to put everything I have into my work. So our
Yes.
work ethic is, I think from a cultural perspective, we all have very similar work ethic. So, tying that with perseverance and grit, it'll take you pretty far.
Right. I think we all have someone in our life that at some point said, maybe an abuelita, maybe a tia, that says, no seas ocioso, right? Which means like, don't be lazy. Like, what are you doing with your life, right?
Yeah.
No seas ocioso. But
Let me add something to what you just said
sure. Yeah,
about
absolutely.
culture. I would say that Latinos specifically have a great advantage in the U.S. because most of us are bicultural, and as immigrants and as people of being bicultural, we inherently understand that in order to establish trusting relationships with others, no matter they're personal or professional, we have to do three things. We got to see the person, we got to hear the person, we have to understand the person, right? And as immigrants, that journey forces us to be very attentive, keep a keen eye listening to people and really try to understand. So in many ways, our story of immigration has given us this amazing superpower to be able to connect with people individually in a deep way in a very short time. So I love that comment about culture, and really I think that's our Latino superpower.
I want to just, I agree completely with you, but it's there for the taking, right? We have an opportunity when we've been in this country to be able to liaise with the majority culture, the Caucasian culture, the African American culture, the Indian culture, the Asian cultures, and the diverse group of Asians that exist within our communities. But it's there for the taking. Oftentimes, we have that melting pot at a higher level than sometimes we do if we're in, DR or Puerto Rico and Bolivia, et cetera. So to be able to leverage all those cultural opportunities, learn and establish rapport that would otherwise require us to have to go to those countries to understand some of the idiosyncrasies of how those cultures operate. It's a great opportunity, definitely, for anyone that's Hispanic American to live in this country to be able to be exposed to that. Speaking about exposure, we're with Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and it wouldn't be a cybersecurity awareness topic if we didn't talk about data exposure, data privacy violations.
Yeah.
Now, what's really interesting about you, Yovany, is that you're in the marketing space. Like for the good part of your life, you've been in marketing. So you're leveraging people's data, or not you specifically, but maybe companies that you've been with in order to do more tactical advertising, tactical marketing. How do you, kind of being outside of cybersecurity, Evin and I are knee deep in this stuff every single day, but how do you, look at data consumption models? And at what level of stewardship do you think that companies are doing today in terms of safeguarding, protecting, and judiciously using that data, for their benefit, the benefit of their users?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of parameters that exist are pretty standard and applied both at a state, federal, and even at a global level, right? Especially when we do business in Europe, they have their own set of standards as well. Here in California, some of the most rigid standards out there. So companies need to take it, customer data very, very seriously. I know that as a marketer, even though I certainly have the ability to dice different customer data and get specific profiles and be able to be very targeted of who I send my messages to. We there's also a lot of effort to, from the data brokers out there to make sure that they anonymize the data, right? And that is being shared in the specific context that we're looking for. I mean, violations of this ends up being multi-million-dollar lawsuits. So
Absolutely.
everybody has a strong interest to get it right, right? Where we certainly have the goal to expose you to our product, to get you familiarized, and so that hopefully you become a customer. Two, once you become a customer, now I want you to be more engaged with our platform, right? With our product. I want you to give me referrals. I want you to do an upgrade. Even that's a different set of approach, right, that you're doing with the customer that has to do with the data that they're providing to you, right? We call it first customer data, which is, it's one, there's generic data that exists out there, but then there's a data that the customer gives to you as the service provider, right? And you have to be a great steward of that data and what you do with it, because customers will tell you, you're spamming the hell out of me. Stop doing that, right?
Yeah. Evan, on a scale of 1 to 10, what you've been, in this industry of cybersecurity infosec for a while now, you've worked at a lot of prominent companies. How would you grade the data stewards that are out there, in any industry? What would be your academic passing grade for them? Or maybe it's not a passing grade. What would you give them?
Wow, that's tough because I think, the most important asset to any organization is data, right? And that's across multiple layers of data, customer data, organizational data. So the grade can vary. I would say right now, I would give it a failing grade, in my opinion, just because, us as people being the stewards of our own data, we're not responsible for it. So then we willingly give data to other organizations.
Yeah. What's interesting is, to your point, Evan, is that, data is worth so much right now that people are even introducing fake data, right? There's fake profiles. I just saw a post from a friend of mine today. He kind of showed all the LinkedIn posts. Shout out to Andrew Haley. He showed a LinkedIn post where basically it showed all the LinkedIn users associated with Amazon over a span of months. And after the revelation that there was a lot of bots on these social media platforms, a lot of companies have been going in and cleaning. And this is data interactions, conversations that are happening between bots and human users, and all this stuff is being mined somewhere. So I agree, Evan. I think you're not far off in doing a failing grade. But Yovany, I mean, as someone that's been part of companies that's been the steward of this data, what needs to change? What needs to change in the business model?
So we spend a lot of time focusing on consumer education, right? As soon as we see a trend in the marketplace on how, bad actors are scamming our customers, we make our customers aware of that right away, right? We take note of that, we put them out there, we inform, we proactively notify our customers to try to prevent them. We got a holiday season coming up, right? And that is the perfect, time frame for bad actors to start scamming customers. So I would say within our comunidad, Latinos, especially with our elderly population, right? We gotta train our abuelos and our uncles and our tias to be a little bit more aware that, like, just because somebody calls you on the phone and tells you, hey, I'm representing this company, that doesn't mean that they are, right? Like, always second guess it. To bring somebody else that, to verify it. If you get an email that looks suspicious or that has a link, don't automatically link on it. Always double check. So that's the major thing that we as a company can do. It's educate the consumer, make them aware of the trends that we see, and be very proactive about that. So that, at the end of the day, if we empower the consumer, they're the first wall of defense when it comes to scammers.
Absolutely. I think that all of us are probably going to share this video outtake to our abuelitos, our padres, our tias, so they can understand is that, hey, don't click on that, $299 special for that new iPhone 14. Because there's so many scams and they're targeting the vulnerable.
And they're getting so creative, Tony. They're getting,
absolutely.
I mean, even I get confused at times as an educated professional. Like I've been getting text messages, okay?
Yes.
They go like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, it's a number that's out of the blue. And I'm like, do I know this person? And you're like, nope, don't even open it. Don't even delete,
don't engage. Right. No, it's true. Well, listen, I appreciate the time, the insights from both of you. I do have some parting questions for both of you. So I'll make it unique for both. So Yovany, I got a question for you. Bachata, cumbia, or salsa? Which one?
Salsa, 100%, baby. Salsa.
Okay, all right. Ahí vamos. All right, Evin, what about you in terms of top time favorite Latina artist of all time?
Oof.
Who's up there? Who's your go-to? If you're gonna basically, dejar este mundo, leave this planet, and you gotta just listen to that one track from your favorite Latina artist, who is it?
That's gonna be Tito Puente, hands
There
down.
you go. There you go. That's the guy. Ahí vamos. Bueno, hey, it's been a gusto. I appreciate the time, Yovany, Evin. Thanks so much. This has been another Dirty South Cybersecurity Podcast with special guest Yovany Jerez. And take care, everybody. Adios. Nos vemos.